We are Witches Who Podcast. All right. Hey, Dee.
Hey, Shelby.
Got any weird stories for me?
Oh, I do.
Oh, I really liked that reaction.
It was so weird. It happened literally yesterday after teaching a yoga class at night.
At night.
So in our studio, we don't have the restrooms inside. The restrooms are outside. So I go and wash my hands, and I'm looking in the mirror, and I just got this sense of like this woman kind of like looking in the mirror as well. Like, if you're looking in the mirror and somebody's like behind you,
Like
talking
waiting
to you.
to wash your hands.
Yeah.
But these are single stall bathrooms.
Correct. So I was by myself, so I thought. So I'm like washing my hands, and I was like, oh, like this spirit. I just felt like this woman's spirit. And I was like, hey. And I was like, don't materialize, because I may freak out if she materializes, right? And I finished washing my hands, and I opened the door, and I'm throwing, like right before I opened the door and, about to throw out like the little piece of paper that I had, I smell this strong, like perfume, like this, don't kill me for this, people, but like old lady perfume, it's like a mature woman perfume.
I know exactly what it is.
It smelled it was so overwhelming. Like, I'm like, okay, this is not the, in the restrooms, how they have that like refresher.
Spray.
It had not sprayed, and I smelled that refresher before, and it's not refreshing.
Yeah.
So I was like, whoa, like it smelled so overwhelming. Wow. It was insane. I was like, oh, this is that lady. She's like showing up. So it gave me the chills, and I ran out of there.
You just ran out of there? You're like, didn't even say anything?
No, I was like, oh, I got people waiting. Bye.
Thanks for.
But it was weird. Well, that's the same stall. There's two stalls.
Yeah.
One on the right, left and right. And this happened on the one on the left. And that's the one where I found Tiny Jesus one time.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about Tiny Jesus.
I love Tiny Jesus. That just makes me smile. I wonder.
She's putting Tiny Jesus places.
Yeah.
Why does she haunt the bathroom?
I don't know, but she was like good vibes. But the smell was it was overwhelming.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. And I was like, whoa.
Oh, I'm so curious now where this woman came from.
I know.
I mean, that center isn't that old, I don't think, that shopping center.
Yeah.
But also, like, there's a major highway right there. There's lots of car accidents and all kinds of stuff. Who knows?
I don't know, but she likes the bathroom.
What is that? Oh, I'm so excited now. I can't wait. I'm going to go have a seance in the bathroom.
Excuse me, ma'am. Any more time in there? I need to use the restroom.
The security guard's coming in like, what is going on in here?
Candles, matching, and
a little spirit box, just all the frequency.
No,
I'm going to find her. I'm going to pull the Ouija board. You know what's funny? So I almost brought the Ouija board to our party.
Oh,
and
to
I'm
the
like,
launch?
Yeah, I'm like standing in the garage. I'm looking at it because it's on a shelf with like a bunch of like other stuff. And Christian's like, what are you doing? I was like, should I bring my Ouija board? And he goes, I mean, if you want to. I was like, no, Dee will quit. She'll just leave.
If you want to get rid of Dee.
It's like, I kind of need her. Yeah. Oh my gosh. But that is so interesting.
It was really weird.
Now I just want to go like investigate.
And it was like not like a mature woman, older lady smelled, but it was very distinct. Like it wasn't like the regular, everybody like grandma
floral,
smells like
whatever.
floral roses. Yeah. It was like
musty almost,
like pungent.
Oh,
yeah. I don't know, but it smelled like good if it was sprayed and then aired out.
Yeah. How interesting.
I know. It's fascinating.
Well, keep me posted if you keep on experiencing her.
I will.
Because I want her to materialize. I want to see this old lady. Who are you? Let's start writing messages in the mirror and see she'll write back.
My gosh. That would be insane.
Wouldn't that be cool? Oh my gosh.
So funny.
Oh, I'm so excited now. All right. Well, anyways, I'm Shelby.
I am Dee.
And we are Witches Who Podcast. And we're obviously haunted. But today, we're talking about the Spring Equinox.
Yay!
Yay! It's finally warming up outside.
Oh, yes.
And it feels amazing. Tucker's over there sunbathing again.
Yes.
And I'm jealous again. And yeah. So The spring equinox.
I think everybody has heard of the spring equinox, right?
Yeah.
And have like an idea, but I don't think I don't even know like the depths of it. And as always, we do research for these type of episodes, so I'm very excited
Yes.
of all these practices and how different cultures celebrate it.
Yeah, that was the most interesting part to me was seeing, I mean, I know how I recognize the spring equinox and stuff, and I loved seeing how consistent it is across cultures, which is fascinating, and also how we've kind of adapted it now into like modern culture without even knowing it.
Yeah.
I find that a lot with a lot of stuff, which as we move forward, we'll probably cover most of the solstices and equinoxes. And there's so much overlap with like modern holidays and stuff like that. So I'm really excited to dive into that.
I just want to interject something here for everyone who's watching on YouTube, and we're talking about how hot it is outside, and Shelby's wearing a sweater and I have wrapped in a blanket. Please know this, her house is an icebox. So here I am, Tucker's and, sunbathing, feeling very comfy. So just so you know, it's still warm outside.
Yeah.
It's
literally like 75 degrees outside and I'm in a sweater and you're wrapped in a blanket. I opened the windows trying to air it out in here.
It is working.
I don't know.
I'm drinking iced matcha. So
that makes it even worse.
yeah.
That's a great spring beverage.
Oh yes. Ta-da.
I have water. Also a great spring beverage.
Yes.
Anyways,
Hydrate people.
so yeah, the spring equinox. You've also heard it called the vernal equinox.
Vernal. I don't think I've heard it called the vernal.
Yeah, it's like some scientific name. It means something. I don't. That's as far as I went with that because I don't ever call it that. But it's when the day and night are of equal length.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't. So it's most commonly the spring equinox, but in pagan tradition. And now in Celtic tradition, it's called Ostara, which is one of the Sabbats of the Wheel of the Year.
I love that.
Yes, it's so exciting. So I want to talk a little bit more about the history and the mythology around different cultures with the spring equinox. So it really symbolizes a time of renewal, fertility, balance, and it's celebrated across cultures for this specific reason because literally the amount of time it's sunny outside is also the exact same amount of time it's dark outside. So that creates a really great time for balance. There's a great time for ritual, great time. It's also said that during this time, the veil is super thin, just like on Halloween, you hear that, right? But any equinox and solstice is when the veil is thin. And that's where there's a lot of celebrations where can be a lot more activity and deeper connections and great times to usually manifest or, set goals or whatever, right? So, Ostara and pagan traditions, so like the modern Wiccan and pagan festival of Ostara, from which Easter derives, celebrates the return of warmth and fertility. And then the goddess Eostre or Ostara, so it's Eostre.
Oh,
yeah, was associated was associated with hares, eggs, and spring's rebirth. She also,
which is very abundant. Like the rabbit is, the bunnies are, abundant. The fertility.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, you think of what's the saying? It's like, oh, they reproduce like rabbits or whatever.
Just like rabbits.
Yeah. And in Celtic tradition too. So, Ostara actually was adopted from the Anglo-Saxons when they came to Britain in like 1000 AD or something like that. And adopted into the Wheel of Time. It wasn't originally on the Wheel of Time or Wheel of the Year. I mix those up a lot because there's a really good book that's the Wheel of Time. Actually, they turned into a TV show.
I was gonna say, I think there's like a series.
The books are so much better.
Oh, okay. The book is always better.
Yeah, there's like a million of them. But they're so good. Okay, anyways.
But I still claim that I read the book by watching the show. So
there you go. It's
thank
fine.
you
Whatever.
for doing the series. I'm kidding.
I love that. I'm like notorious for the book, hardcore book for sure. Yeah, so it was Ostara was adopted into the Celtic Wheel of the Year. And you'll hear Eoster or Ostier, or however you say that name, as a Celtic goddess when she actually wasn't a Celtic goddess. They adopted her. She's a Germanic goddess because she's from the Anglo-Saxon times. But she represents she's the goddess of spring and represents fertility. Her symbol is the hare. So you'll see her depicted kind of like this half hare, half woman, and hare is in rabbit. Like you'll see her with big rabbit ears and like kind of still very beautiful long hair. It's very interesting how they depict her.
Yeah, you can just find her. I've seen it in Pinterest. You just literally type in Ostara, and that's the first picture comes out with her with the hair.
Yep, totally. And you think about her name, like you just said too, it sounds like Easter.
Yeah.
And there's the Easter bunny.
Yeah.
Right? And you think about what Easter represents too. Yes, it's the spring equinox right around the same time. But also like, the Easter bunny, hunting for eggs, all these things. And it's also what? In Christianity, the rebirth of Jesus Christ, right?
Yeah.
So it's this rebirth, this fertility, this,
And this miracle that like happened, like coming back to life.
Exactly.
And you coming back to life enlightened.
Yeah, there we go. Exactly. See, because the veil is thin, he was able to come back from the dead. Yeah.
Love that.
So that's kind of like the basis around like my example of this time of the year. There's also like in Druidic tradition, the spring equinox is actually called Alban Elir, which means light of the earth.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And the Druids are, notorious for fire festivals and, a lot of people I think loop Druids and like Celtic mythology and Celtic like paganism, whatever, into one, where they're actually pretty separate. Druids were, like the original witches essentially, which is like a really terrible like description, but you get it. Way before Christianity, way before, like they were the original healers of the earth, the keepers of the old ways, like the most connected, totally. And that's where, they would have these festivals honoring the light, the coming of the sun. And the sun is super important in Druid tradition. There's the 3 rays and there's a lot around the sun and what it represents. And so the spring was super important in Druid tradition. And what they would do is they would go on hilltops and light fires to like welcome the sun. And so there's, theory that Stonehenge and places like Stonehenge, Stonehenge is the most iconic, but there's a lot of places around like London, Britain, all those areas that are, stone circles and stuff, usually on hilltops, because that's, where they lit light the fires. Yeah, to welcome in the sun and honor the sun.
I love that.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? I really like that one a lot. So.
And if you watch Outlander, you can see them like dancing, you know, with fire around this particular circle in Inverness, I think.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I love that. But I know there's a lot more also, and you have a lot to share about your native tradition too. So I figured I would go through some other ones just kind of briefly and then let you take it over. Yeah. So some of the things I looked up, and this was all pure research, Persephone in Greek mythology. I thought this was super fascinating. So the equinox is tied to Persephone's return from the underworld, symbolizing the end of winter and the return of life to the land. This was a key myth in the I can never say this word, Eleusinian mysteries, an ancient initiation cult focused on life, death, and rebirth.
Oh,
hold on a minute. Life, death, and rebirth. Persephone's return from the underworld. This is the story of Jesus.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, I kind of want to be in that cult, but...
You kind of were. You were Catholic.
Oh, yeah. Well, true.
Right? Isn't that super interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not saying all religions are cults or anything like that, but like this specific one was a cult. And that's what they believed in.
Ooh.
Isn't that interesting? And yeah, the story of Persephone returning from the underworld,
And then this Greek mythology is way before Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. The Greeks were said to be like the first ones on Earth.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, questions.
I know, right? I'm like, I need to Google more stuff and dig a little deeper into that. But like,
maybe what if, okay, like you said, it's a she, right?
Persephone?
Yeah. It's okay. That was the representation of Jesus, like Jesus in this timeline, in this era. This is how this is Jesus.
Yeah.
And then in another type of a era or lifetime, it will be something else.
Yeah.
And then in another, but it all stems
Totally
like the same story in different
eras.
Yeah.
Different eras, different lenses. It's right.
Fascinating.
Like, super interesting. I know.
Okay.
And then there's Egyptian traditions. The equinox aligns with the Great Sphinx, making the sun's return and renewal a significant moment in Egyptian cosmology. I just think it's super interesting that across like most cultures, it has to do with the sun. And it's the return of the sun. It's this rebirth, this renewal. You know, the earth is thawing out. You know, the ground is thawing from winter's, you know, slumber, and things are beginning to grow and become fertile again.
So I don't want to say I have a theory or something, but I always think of this, like, I feel like the sun is the oldest thing we have. Like, so this is what I don't know. Like, when the Big Bang happened and all the planets were to where they're supposed to be, the moon was included. I always feel like the moon came in later. Like, it can still be dark at night, but there wasn't, like, I feel like there were several stars that were moons.
Yeah.
But I don't, like, I feel that most knowledge, like the oldest, the OG has been the sun. The sun has seen, I feel like the sun has seen more than any other planet in our solar system.
Yeah.
And more than the moon. I don't know. I always had this. So right now we're like the sun. They always like worship the sun. Like there's moon rituals, but I feel like there's way more rituals around the sun. Because if there was no moon, yes, it will interfere with like our waters because of the tide. And but I feel if there's no sun, there's no life.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's true. That's very true.
Because we go quote unquote without the moon on a new moon. You can't really see the moon.
Yeah,
it's
true.
completely dark, right?
Yeah.
Light little just rim. But I feel we can't, I don't know. I have a thing with that.
That's interesting. I like it.
Right.
No. I think that's super interesting. And yeah, you don't really hear a lot about, like, maybe I just haven't looked it up, but a lot of like ancient moon ritual. I mean, there's some kind of rooted more around like the, you know, feminine energy, that kind of stuff. But the sun,
because it's very associated with our cycles.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the deepest connection to the divine feminine. But I feel like, I don't know, maybe, you know, the moon has been there. It didn't appear.
Yeah, it did just like float
like suddenly it's like, oh, we forgot to add this.
I think I said this before we were recording, but I said the moon was fake like 4 times.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I kind of believe in that too.
It's just a painted
Flat
up on
Earth,
there.
we cannot get on that.
Yeah. But the moon not being real, maybe.
Yeah.
I saw this meme the other day. Actually, no, I think my husband sent it to me or something. That was like flat earthers are out, and it was like the earth in the shape of a hot dog.
Oh, I love that.
I like that one. That's a good one.
Oh God.
I love it. But yeah, so the sun is a huge part of all the solstices and equinoxes. Right? Because even the winter, it's, you know, mourning the sun, the loss of the sun kind of thing. But I know in Mayan and native celebrations, there in tradition, there's a lot that has to do right with the sun as well. So I'll let you start to take that part away. I did a little bit of research, like about, you know, Chichen Itza a little bit. Like the serpent shape on the steps. Are you going to talk about that?
Yes.
Sweet.
Because
I'm
that's
super excited.
Glen.
Okay, yeah,
The
I can
feather
never
serpent.
I can never remember that name.
Just go watch Wakanda Forever. I just every time I mention, I'm like, I want to watch. I cry with that movie. I'm all like, so divine,
good.
feminine energy.
Yeah, that is seriously like an iconic movie of our time.
I love it.
We should do a what are those things?
Marathon on the Avengers.
Well, yes, for sure. But that would take so long. I wonder how many hours that would be.
I've done it with my kids. We just kind of finished. I was like, what movies after that? Because Thor Ragnarok is one of my favorites.
It's a good movie, yeah.
But mostly because of the rock guy. And
I forgot about that guy. Oh.
I'm Cole. This is me. We're about to jump in the giant spaceship. You want to come? And I was like, rewind.
I love that.
Okay, sorry.
No, I was gonna say we should do a time capsule, but I couldn't think of the word.
Yeah, we should.
That would be really fun. And just put like, you know, I wonder, I mean, I'm sure so many towns or schools would do that, but like how long are they leaving them in there, you know?
till a developer comes and
right? It's like
buys
how
that
many
land. I'm
time
kidding.
capsules are just in the ground somewhere and we have no idea.
I
What if
can't-
all the answers of the universe are just buried out in some random field and there used to be a school?
I remember, I think this was definitely in the East Coast. I think it was like in New York state that some people like were developing this land. Like it was something it had been like a strip mall, things like that. And they were gonna like rip everything apart, and they were digging and found a time capsule.
Oh my gosh,
that
that's
somebody
rad.
had set up like in the 20s or something. Like
What?
yeah.
That's so
And
cool.
I need to find that.
Oh, I want to know. What was it? Do you remember what was in it?
I can't remember.
Oh, that's awesome.
I can't remember,
Like
but
some
it
Teddy
was-
Roosevelt pins, you know. I don't know.
A letter, you know. So I was just thinking,
Some
a letter
bootleg
saying
beer.
I killed my husband. Yeah. He was unfaithful. Find him in the wall.
A dead bird
A dead-
and
yeah.
a candle. What kind of time capsule was
Oh
this?
God, I don't know. Anywho, okay. So I'm gonna talk about the Mayans. So I'm gonna talk about both the significant spiritual and cultural events for both the Mayans and the Native Americans traditions.
Cool.
Again, we know it symbolized the renewal, balance, fertility, and the new awakening of life. So for Mayan spring equinox traditions, the ancient Mayan civilization had advanced understanding of astronomy as we know, and aligned many of their temples with celestial events like the equinoxes. So the descent of Kukulkan. El
I'm
Castillo.
not going to try.
So this is a feather serpent, which I love, and I always show. I have a little ring. I always have my little ring. So it's El Castillo. They call it like the castle, or Chichen Itza. Chichen Itza. And this one is in Yucatan Peninsula. One of the most famous equinoxes celebrated takes place in Chichen Itza, Mexico, where the pyramid, the temple of Kukulkan, was built to align the sun. On the equinox, as the sun sets, a shadow resembling a feather serpent, Kukulkan, the Mayan deity associated with wisdom and the renewal, appears to slither down the pyramid steps and symbolizing the return of divine energy to the earth. It's crazy. I've never seen it in person. I kind of want to go see it live. Now it's become so popular. It's just like, you know, kind of just.
That's so crazy, though.
I know, but I've seen it in video, different videos. Yeah, it's all over YouTube, so you can. Maybe we'll add a link to it so people can watch it. And it looks really cool. You see just how the shadows. So they knew exactly how to build this pyramid and align it in a way that when the equinox at sunset was hitting, it would look as the sun is going down, as if the serpent is descending.
That is insane.
So somebody had to think about this.
Yeah, like how did they come up with this very specific, like mathematical equation, right?
Yes.
That's insane.
It's really,
And for it to be consistent, like this long, too, like that is. I mean, after like erosion of you know.
Yeah.
The stone and everything else. It's
And
insane.
I have seen, I can't remember if it's Chichen Itza or if it's the Pyramid of the Sun in Teotihuacan. But I saw a picture of this at like mid 1800s. And before it was the pyramid, like it's always been the pyramid, but it was covered, like it looked like a mountain.
Oh, wow.
Like a hill.
Yeah.
And they can only see the top. So before they excavated it, and you know, they excavated. So I'm sure that in any of these excavations that people do all over the world, they try to be as careful as possible, but there's going to be some damage.
Yeah.
So I'm so, you know, excited and so grateful that for this particular one, because they could have maybe really messed up some rocks, right? Totally. Because I don't know if it's been remodeled. I don't think they really, well, maybe they do restore some of the pyramids as much to its original.
Try to like reinforce it a little bit.
But that is just fascinating. Yeah. So another one is ceremonies. This is with the Mayans still. Ceremonies honoring the sun and corn. The Maya rely on the equinox to signal the start of the planting season, particularly for corn, maize, their sacred crop. Also consider, I remember maize was like considered like gold back in the day because they will trade it. with
okay.
others. They will
Yeah.
trade maize because you can make, flour, tortillas, and
What was that drink that I just had for the first time? The hot chocolate thing?
champurrado.
Oh my God, that's what it is,
So
right?
it has masa in it, which is corn. It has
that was the
it's
best thing I've ever had in my life.
Yes. You have to have a tole then next.
What
which
is that?
It's another one made from the corn. Like I have a blue. Well, I don't have it anymore because I drink it all pretty quickly, even in the summer. But not last year, the year before, I went to Puebla with my sister and my mom, and we were on this market, and my sister's like, "Oh, that's blue corn atole." And it's just another drink, but it's made from blue corn. It was just delicious.
Is it chocolatey too?
Well, it doesn't taste like it tastes. This one wasn't too sweet, like overwhelmingly sweet, but it doesn't taste necessarily like chocolate. It's like a sweet drink, but it feels hearty.
Yum.
So I used to make it
Sounds
with,
amazing.
I love to make it with some
so
almond
comforting.
water. Yes, that's what it is. And when women actually in Mexican tradition and probably other traditions as well, the warm, right? For your womb when you're on your cycle, especially. So when you were like on your cycle, it's like, oh, let me make you some atole.
Yeah.
Like rather than chapurrado, which is what you tried. They will
That
make
probably has a little bit of caffeine from the chocolate.
it's more chocolately the champurrado. It can be made with like cacao as well.
Yeah.
Like instead of like some other, kind of like it can be made out of any chocolate.
Not Hershey's syrup.
No, don't do that, people. Don't use the word.
Oh, my dad has some gnarly stories about the Hershey factory.
Oh,
I'm not going to tell you. I'll ruin chocolate for you forever.
Oh,
Not that he
I don't
eats Hershey's or anything.
Hershey's.
Well, my dad's an electrical engineer, so he builds like electric control panels for like a lot of different stuff, like factory lines mostly. But like the automation of it, like he's the computer dude.
Wow. So he's been in those places and seen some things.
He's seen some things, and he said the Hershey's one was spectacularly disgusting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe go Google it just so we don't get canceled for.
Yeah, sorry, Hershey's. There's literally Hershey syrup in my fridge right now.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't.
So we've learned nothing from the father. I'm kidding.
Yeah, that's all my husband.
It's like, oh gosh, all right, Christian, get rid of that Hershey's.
It's like not even real chocolate. If you like read the ingredients, there's literally no real chocolate in it at all. There's
somehow
no way that's good for you.
Maybe when people like keep like Nesquik or Hershey, it's more of like the memory as a child of just,
totally.
Like that comforting part.
Ours is Christian's is Ovaltine, and so he got me pretty hooked on Ovaltine. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember as a child being like super like hooked on anything like that. Like I think cereal is one for me. Actually.
Cereal.
Like,
I miss cereal. I haven't had cereal.
I love
in years.
cereal, and like my mom wasn't big on like all the sugary crap either, but like it was a treat.
Yeah.
And so that was
that's
like,
what cereal is. You get some Lucky Charms. It's like, come on, that's not really,
Yeah. That was, and popcorn. I freaking love popcorn.
I love popcorn.
Yeah, that's my comfort food for sure. Popcorn.
Love it.
Anyways, back to the Spring Equinox.
So with the ceremonies honoring the sun and sun and corn. So the one with the maize, as we were talking, offering of flowers, incense, cacao, and sacred chants were made to honor the gods and ask for blessings on the harvest. Not always killing people as an offering. Sometimes the gods will like flowers, incense, cacao, and sacred chants.
You don't always have to sacrifice your firstborn child.
I know. There's always like that thought, right? And we're like just so so brutal and
like
just
savage
and things like that.
When you hear like offering, and that's what people go to, like Satan worshiping and
absolutely.
Yeah, totally. No.
They also had fire and water rituals. Totally. Mayan priestess and shamans often performed fire ceremonies. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
where sacrifice. I thought it said sacrifice, and I was like, man, I was just,
a hare, a bunny.
No, it is not sacrifice.
Oh,
it's my dyslexia, everyone. Where sacred fires were lit to release old energy and invite renewal. Water was also honored as a sword of fertility, often through rituals at cenotes, which are the natural sinkholes and rivers. And usually all these cenotes, I don't think I know of a cenote that is warm.
Oh,
all
yeah,
of
that's
them
freezing
are,
cold.
yes, all of them are like in these cave looking spaces,
Huh.
and they're really cold, but they feel really like refreshing. Like it
And, like,
feels
clean.
cleansed.
Yeah.
Yes, because I was in one that we were just, our tour guide was like, we can't believe there's nobody here. But you had to, this was in San Luis, not in San Luis, yeah, well, San Luis Potosí, in La Huasteca Potosina. And you have to literally like row yourself in up the river. To this
Upriver?
You're going against the current. But it was wonderful. There was all these waterfalls that you went through. It was beautiful. It was hot.
Oh, so
and
it's worth it.
It was
Like, you
completely
were wanting
worth it.
to jump in that cold ass water.
Well, yeah, after that, you know, it's like we went and it looked like a mirror because it was so still and so clear. And then, you know, we went in there and you go through like these little caves.
Oh, cool.
But they're like, this is never empty. And it was freezing.
Wow.
It was so cold. So
That's cool.
I peed in el cenote several times.
You're too cold to warm up.
I'm like, okay, I need to get out now.
Isn't that funny how like cold water and warm water both like trigger that, right?
Your
Like that
bladder's
is
like-
so weird.
Have to release. So
I wonder if it's like some kind of like nervous system response. Probably, right? Like
I probably-
the sympathetic nervous system was like, oh, this is too hot. Must
Yes.
release.
Oh
Like,
my gosh,
everything's
I
in-
know. I remember going in that trip, which was phenomenal. We went river rafting, and then we were swimming the entire way back. And I was like so overstimulated that I peed in there too, like several times. I'm all like my friends.
Right.
I was like,
So
don't
be
get near.
upriver from D whenever we were in water.
Don't be water with her because she will, you know, leave.
She's
more than
going to
good.
pee on you.
Absolutely.
But if you ever get stung by a jellyfish, she's your girl.
Hopefully I'm free. I'm gonna get stage fright.
Oh no.
All right. So yeah, so those were I'm sorry. What the do? Oh yeah.
Sorry, we got sidetracked.
Sidetrack. So the sinkholes. So often through sinkholes, which is the cenotes and rivers. That's how they will honor and was honored and as a sort of fertility. So that's for the Mayans. Any questions on the Mayans before we jump into Native Americans?
I mean, I have a broad question. So you know the Mayan calendar, obviously, the giant circle. Are the equinoxes and solstices marked on that calendar as well?
Well, I don't know.
That'd be super interesting.
Yeah.
Because it did it end?
Well, it
Or it's
ended.
ongoing?
It ended in 2012.
Is that right? Because that was the whole fiasco
Yes.
with the Y2K. No, that was the other thing.
Yeah,
I'm mixing everything up now.
No, but I believe it's in 2012. I believe.
The world was supposed to end, right?
Correct. And I think that because everybody was freaking out because the Mayan calendar was ending, but I believe now research has shown that it ended like an era of something.
Oh,
So
I
almost
see.
like finishing, like we're going like finishing Pisces season. We're starting that something like it was something like that.
Interesting. I got it. So we need to find the next calendar.
Yeah, I think that something was discussed. Don't quote me, but I believe there.
Oh, I vaguely remember that too. Something else being discovered.
But I don't know if they were marked. I want to say yes, probably, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. Should look that up.
I know because I have actually at home several calendars, Mayan calendars, but I don't know what they mean because I can't read.
Oh,
Mayan.
that reminds me. Remember when you went? I think it was that same trip, like a couple years ago, when you went to Mexico, and you brought back the little necklace that has the spirit beads in it or whatever. That's the Mayan calendar.
Yes.
And the whole, I love the little like legend behind it. Like it's, you know, when they start going off, the bells start going off, that means spirits are here. I could not find that freaking necklace.
Oh.
I was looking for it. I couldn't find it. It went missing. And all of a sudden, and this was like last week, I totally forgot this happened. I heard it kind of going, I heard it. Like it's a very distinct, like high pitched like noise. And I was like, that is that necklace. That is the spirit. Like, where is it? And
Did you
found
find it?
I found
Oh, where was it?
I had put it in, is it above me right now? No, I had put it in this little green like box that my mother-in-law got me.
But it was ringing? Well,
Yes,
it was
in the
there?
box.
Nothing was moving it because
Nope.
usually you'll have it and if it moves.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think I got you. So I got you that when we went to the big Mexico City trip,
Oh.
in one of the at the pyramids.
Oh.
I believe I got that in Teotihuacan.
Oh, that's haunted. So
He said, brought you some ancestral, brought you
it
some of my peeps back.
Yeah, I love it. It never gone off before that. Because I had it hanging somewhere for a while.
Maybe it wants you to wear it.
Yeah,
Or it wants you like near.
Maybe
Because
that's
it's really, and it's so funny to say that because the other day I was just going through my jewelry and I was like, oh man, I have one that my sister gave me from years ago when they went on like a Mexico trip. And I was like, I should wear it.
Yeah, it's so cute too. It's like all
I'm gonna wear it
colorful.
now.
I'm gonna wear mine now too.
Yay. It'll be ringing all the time.
Yeah, it's like
Ding.
constantly.
It's like, I may need to take it off.
This is just overstimulating.
All right. Native American spring equinox traditions.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Many Native American tribes view the equinox as time of balance between light and dark, renewal and connection with the Great Spirit. And different tribes had a unique practices. So,
Yeah.
but I feel like everything is very similar in between, even from the Mayan to Native and the Celtic.
Yeah.
Very similar. So one is the Bighorn Medicine Wheel. The Plains tribe. In Wyoming, a large medicine wheel built by indigenous Plains tribes aligns with the sunrise during the equinox.
How cool.
Native peoples use it for ceremonial vision quests, prayers, and connecting with ancestral spirit. How cool is that?
Wow.
I
What
love
is this
that.
wheel? Like I'm in my head. I'm picturing like a wagon wheel. Like
It's
what
a
is-
wheel. I don't know. I didn't even look up on how it looked, but I
Wow.
was thinking when I saw a wheel, medicine wheel, I was like, oh, is this the same as the time one?
Yeah, wheel of the year.
Wheel of
Yes,
the year.
it's- yeah, very similar.
Maybe it's their version of it. I bet
Yeah.
you it probably looks the same.
That's interesting.
Sunrise ceremonies. Tribes like the Hopi, Cherokee, and Lakota hold sunrise rituals to welcome the return of the sun's strength. Actually,
That. I love that.
I love that too. Actually, I love if I would wake up, if I had more willpower. But I love
Get up with the sun.
sunrise. I love sunrises, and it's when I feel
Me too.
in my most potent power.
Same.
I'm just like here we go. Like
Yeah.
I feel like taking on anything.
Yeah.
And
you know how they say like you're either a morning person or a night person? And I'm always like, no, I'm a hardcore middle of the day kind of person. But if I really think about it, like I would much rather get up and experience that. Like I love the misty morning and the very quiet, clean air. The sunset is yes, it's like nice and everything, but it's still chaotic because there's still people.
Yeah.
Like in the morning, it's so different and you
I
just
feel
feel connected.
like
I don't
the
know.
veil is thinner at that time.
Yeah,
Like suddenly you're there, like, oh, a little dark, a little creepy, sitting here by myself. What's in the bushes? You know, if you're like, and then it's like, oh, like just feeling that. Oh, I
Yeah.
get that.
And I love like being up before everybody else where it's quiet and like, yeah, I don't know.
I know. I always tell my husband, and just because he's up a little later than me, and I'm like, boy, I already had a whole day.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like I'm done with my day, and you're just starting. But okay, so sacred. In addition to sunrise, the ceremonies to welcome the return. To welcome the return of the sun's strength. Sacred songs, drumming, smudging with sage, and prayers are used to align with nature's rhythm and give gratitude. I love that. Now, the Hopi and the Kachina dance, the Hopi tribe of the Southwest honors the Kachina spirits, spiritual messages. Ooh, I want to look into the Kachina.
Yeah.
During the equinox. Ritual dances and prayers are performed to invite rain, fertility, and harmony for the coming season. Ooh, I love that. Renewal and cleansing rites. Many tribes practice fasting, sweat lodge ceremonies, and smudging to cleanse the body and spirit, making way for new beginnings. Planting ceremonies are also common, blessing the seeds before they are placed in the earth. Oh, I love to do that. Eagle and thunderbird symbols. The eagle, a sacred messenger, is often invoked during equinox ceremonies as a sign of vision, guidance, and connection to the creator. Some tribes honor thunderbird spirits, calling upon their energy to bring balance and renewal to the land. So between the Mayan and the native traditions, there's in Celtic and the ghost.
Hello?
Okay. Later? Okay.
Do you smell is it the old lady? Did she follow you here?
No. No, I don't
Tucker
smell
didn't
her.
react like at
I
all.
know. So it might be.
I think he's
in our
made peace with the ghost that lives up here. Christian the other day goes, our house is really creaky. I'm like, it's the ghost, dude. The house is brand new. Like,
It's like, yeah, you're learn to live with it. So the common themes, let's say in Mayan and Native American traditions, is the balance and the renewal, right? As we know. Again, the equinox represents a moment of equal day and night, symbolizing the harmony between the opposite forces.
Yeah.
The connection to the earth and cosmos. Both traditions align their ceremonies with the movement of celestial bodies. Gratitude and offering, giving thanks through prayer, fire, food, and dance, is central to honoring the new cycle. And purification, cleansing rituals like sweat lodges and smudging remove stagnant energy before the season of growth begins.
Spring cleaning.
Absolutely.
Totally.
So just knowing that all these traditions, we continue to do them today. You know, we call it, like you said, spring cleaning. Yeah. So based on this and what you have read so far and we're learning about, what is your favorite like spring equinox ritual or tradition that you like to do?
There's a lot, so that's hard. But I really like resetting my home. So I like, you know, my mom was always, she decorated the whole house. Her entire home is her altar, you know? And so everything had a theme, you know? So then
Sorry, I'm trying to make sure that it doesn't sound like ice cream.
So she would always totally redo the house, and I loved the springtime. Like I loved how she would, you know, clear everything, and she would, you know, it was brighter colors. I'm not a big pastel person at all, but I really love green. And so that green and white just like are so
that sagey green. Like
or even
green.
like dark, any of it, like the contrast between the light and the, like, you know, just bringing nature inside. Like I just feel so clean to me. And I just loved that. I love that. I love bringing, you know, outside inside, you know, and just creating this space that is pure, like that purity piece, and cleansing the home and, you know, getting rid of leftover Christmas decorations, you know, not that I have any right now, but you know what I mean? Just like kind of purging a little bit and resetting the house and renewal, like that feeling. And I always remember this is the time of year too, like when I was a little kid, that I would wake up and it would be sunny and it was just so peaceful. The sun would come through my window and my childhood room opened up to the, like right when you open the door, there's French doors that lead out into the magical backyard that is my mother's house. And so my door would be open and the light would be kind of coming in through the back door. And I just remember just getting up and just being kind of like floating on outside as a little kid. And that was spring to me. And I loved that. That was just so, it was renewing, you know, and I just love this time of year so much, but there's a lot. I mean, I have like this whole laundry list of like different spiritual practices kind of adapted from all other ones. And it really coincides kind of with Easter, of what like we practice here in America, whether you're Christian or not. Most people still celebrate Christmas and Easter.
You buy
and
a
all
Christmas
these things.
basket for somebody.
Exactly. And
Or a peep.
Yeah. And most people probably hunt eggs or, you know, or something to some extent. Right. But what about you? What is...
Definitely this year I'm feeling really strong that I want to do like a deep cleaning of my home.
Yeah.
Like I
just
feel, I'm like so many times I'm like, oh my gosh, I just want to become like more, like less is more and like even more intentional with my things. Yeah. But I feel like I want to do a really good spring cleaning. And I think I need to wake up really early. I'm going to try my best. I'm going to try my best on the 21st to watch the sunrise.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And drink some cacao, you know, in the morning. The sun come up. And watch the sun come up and just put my alarm.
All right, we're both doing that.
Yes, I'm going to text you.
Sweeping declaration. We are doing this.
We should invite some other friends to do it too, to hold us accountable.
Yeah, good idea.
Like the time we had the fires around and everybody was up at like 1:30 in the morning. That was so powerful. I felt so supported.
I know.
It was so,
we have an amazing community.
Yes.
We really do.
we like
Thank
to
you,
build
guys.
community. Be part of our community. Join our
Yeah.
Patreon.
We'll check on you and watch duty goes off at 1 a.m.
We should do a collective on the 21st. But
Yes.
that's kind of like one of my goals. I want to be more intentional. I feel like things like this will just kind of go by, right? It's like, oh, it's just an equinox and, you know, I'll do a little meditation. And so I was like, no, really, it's like in our roots.
Yeah.
You know, go back to the earth, really celebrate our earth. I'm like, I talk about it all the time in yoga, in my classes. You know, I'm like, at the end, I'm always like, you know, give a little gratitude to our Mother Earth. You know, it's brought us here today. Here we are, supporting us.
Totally.
And I'm like, okay, are these just words that I'm saying? Like it becomes that. Like I believe it, but I'm like, now it has just become so often that
you're not embodying it.
Yes. So I think that's my intention for this equinox is to be even more intentional, but embodying it a little bit more. So I invite all our listeners.
Yeah. And just to plug my workshop here.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Here's the perfect time.
Yes.
On the equinox, on the 21st.
Yes.
That's a Friday evening. Join our Patreon. It's only $5 a month. And I'm doing a Zoom workshop where we'll go through a lot of these rituals and do some rituals around the spring equinox together. Learn a little bit more about it, rooted more in Celtic tradition through the Wheel of the Year. All different kinds of stuff. So I'll take you through right now different spiritual practices that you can do.
Any chance, are you going to talk about the wheel? Because I'm curious so that they
Right
know
here?
what the wheel means, what you're doing on the 21st.
So the Wheel of the Year is there's Sabbat. So it's all the equinoxes and the solstices and the halfway between points that we celebrate. They're fire festivals usually, and all different kinds of things to really honor the earth and just kind of the natural progression of the natural world, right? And so we celebrate these times, and and a lot of them correspond with different holidays and stuff like that. But so for this one, we're talking about the spring equinox, and it's really about, you know, all the things that we've been talking about today, that rebirth, that renewal, that fertility, all of those things. So we'll talk about what that can look like for you and your personal practice, as well as sharing more about that specific this specific time of the year, and what that means for our physical bodies, what that means for, you know, the cosmic subtle bodies and stuff like that.
I'm excited because actually I never done it.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm excited to do it this time. So if anybody wants to join, Patreon, we have a lot to offer there.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. It's going to be really fun. Yeah, definitely. A couple years ago, or maybe it was last year, I did a whole Wheel of the Year workshop where we got together in person and we painted our own wheels.
I remember that.
It was so much fun. We went through each Sabbat and talked all about it, you know, like foods, recipes, you know, colors associated, why, like a little folklore around them. It was so much fun. It was really long. So I'm basically kind of doing that, but in smaller chunks, so that by the end of the year, you'll have a full wheel.
Wow. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So sorry to get away from what you were going to say.
No.
But now I'm curious, what colors do you suggest are best for, or do you know of, for the equinox for people to wear?
spring?
Because for spring, it's more vibrant, or are we talking more earth tones? What do you think?
I would say it's usually, you know, like spring colors, like yellows, greens, pinks. Like you think about flowers that are blooming. Things are starting to come to bloom, right? So it's those kind of colors that represent, you know, I'm not going to go super harsh oranges and these right? That's more summer, but it's these kind of like lighter, more cool toned, I would say, like, you know, greens and pinks and like the pastel, like traditional pastel-y kind of colors, because they signify the blooming of flowers and stuff like that.
I love that. As soon as you were talking, I was like, like hot pink.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, that's summer D.
Yeah, that's a harsh color for sure. Yeah, this is more of that subtle, like, you know.
And it's a feel good color.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
and I'm not a pink
soft
person, so I always tend to go greens. Like I'm like every shade of, clearly I'm wearing green right now. You'll probably notice that everything I wear is like green or blue, like that's pretty much it. But, or black. But that's what I tend to do is I always like bring in like greens. Like I love bringing like fresh flowers this time of year. It's so much fun. Like daffodils are in bloom. Oh, I love daffodils. And they're yellow, bright yellow and green. And they're just so beautiful. Like things like that. You know what I mean? But But yeah, so let's go through the list then. So in modern spiritual practices, it is a hodgepodge of ancient tradition, essentially, right? And you can do whatever you want, right? I think that's my favorite part about these kind of practices is you don't have to stick to a specific, script. You don't have to stick to a specific, regiment, right? As long as you're being respectful, you're showing gratitude, and you do a little bit of research so you're not messing with stuff you don't understand, right? But this is for you. This is your practice to express gratitude for Earth, for our Creator, for whatever you want it to be, right? Whatever you believe in. And this time of year is all about that renewal. It is honoring the sun. And most of the equinoxes and the solstices are honoring the sun in some way, but it's really all about, the earth is thawing out. We're about to be in bloom, renewal, fertility, purity, all those things. So here are some things that you can do for different spiritual practices that you can do, in your own home. So you might have heard of some of this stuff, and I talked a little bit about some of these through like the Mayan and the Native American tradition as well. And these are things that I love to do. So I talked a little bit about my favorite kind of tradition is like the decorating piece of like, that refresh of like spring, I almost said fall colors. Where am I? Spring colors and things like that. And Easter, right? My mom always did Easter baskets for us, and we had to go search for them. You know, the Easter bunny came and we had to go find our Easter baskets. And did we have any clue why we were celebrating Easter? No, no. Absolutely. I mean, I did not. Maybe my sister did, but I don't know. I had no idea. But that is something that you can do is an altar setup. So you don't have to redecorate your entire house, but you can use your specific altar with greens, yellows, pinks, bring in fresh flowers. Eggs are a huge symbol of fertility, of birth, and, different kinds of seeds. Now is the time to start seeding and start, spreading your wildflower seeds and stuff like that. Symbols of balance, anything like the yin and yang, the sun and the moon, anything that is going to represent, but the scales, anything that represents balance for you is a great, significant piece for this time that you can make your altar. Any like crystals, right?
Yeah.
Different crystals, rose quartz and citrine. Oh, that's more summer actually. I don't know. Yeah. I'm trying to think of yellow.
I want to share something kind of funny.
Yeah.
So, I grew up in Mexico. So there was still Easter, but it was very Americanized. Like, Mexicans didn't really go searching for eggs. Yeah. But because I lived in a border town and every year I will get an Easter basket. I will get an Easter basket. And then not every year, but sometimes they will hide eggs for me to, Did
you know it was them, or did you think it was the Easter bunny?
I think I knew it was them. I think when I was really little, like up to 5 or 6, I knew it was like the Easter bunny. But then as I got older, I knew it was them. So that will happen, but it was like, you do not get to open your Easter. Sometimes I wouldn't get my Easter basket on that Sunday until after we went to church. Or if I got it, I could not open it. Oh. I could not open it until I got back from church because it's not about the Easter bunny. It's about Jesus' resurrection.
Totally.
And so I can't remember how old I was, but there was a point where my mom is like, this is becoming too much about the Easter bunny and less about Jesus. So maybe we need to pull the Easter bunny, you know? Man, ouch. But she knew more about what Ostara, the representation, then it may have been a little bit something different. And it was just something you did. I don't even think it was just like beyond intentional of like the bunny, the Easter, the renewal, I think it was just like, it's Halloween, it's about to be Halloween, get a costume, things like that. But because I remember I was like, but I couldn't until like always church first. Yeah. And then you get to, go have some fun and things like that. And I remember, I'm pretty sure it was, I think my first communion, I think it was on a Sunday. Like they had it was like very associated. Like, of course, you know, doing first communion is something that's very religious.
Yeah.
But I believe it was also, it had to be like done because Sundays also
Yeah.
represent, you know, the representation of like Sunday.
Yeah.
Anywho, that I just thought it was kind of funny. It was like talking about like, yes, you know, the Easter bunny and things like that. And like my niece, she gets her kids like the most, you know, beautiful Easter baskets and all the things. But I was thinking, I was like, right now, I'm wondering if she really knows the depths of why
Like why.
we do
Yeah.
things. Because then it's just like in your culture, you just do it because this is what we do.
Yeah. Because consumerism.
Oh gosh, I know. Like I have not bought the kids anything. And my mom, even when I was a teen, she would always give me like a little egg or something.
Yeah.
Older, you know.
My mom does to this day.
Yeah.
She's still and now my husband's looped into it. It's everything. Like we all get
love it. You get something.
Whether even if it's something small, it's always like something.
It's
you know?
kind of like my husband likes the little eggs that have like the
Cadbury eggs.
The Cadbury eggs. Yeah. And it's just like something like around this time. It's like we don't eat too many of those type of sweets, but it's just like I was like, oh, it's around, you know, this Easter. Let's get one of those. Or the little the candies during Halloween, the corn. The candy corn during Halloween also is like
My mom loves candy corn too.
You know,
That's
those
funny.
are made out of plastic basically, and you're still probably processing the ones you ate 10 years ago.
Yeah, they never left your system.
But hey, traditions.
Exactly.
Right? Okay, sorry
That's
to
the
interrupt.
thing.
I thought that was
love
funny.
it. Love it. And they're all traditions too, and it's all super relevant. But yeah, all these little rituals that we do, you know, hiding eggs, like egg magic is a great thing you can do, whether it's dyeing eggs or hiding them for your kids to go find or whatever else. You can also, something that we used to do is we would take like a wax crayon or any crayon and write on the eggs different things, and then you would, when you dyed them, it left that on there, and then you would, you know, so it didn't dye that part that you waxed, so whatever you wrote on there wouldn't be dyed.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So it's a cool way to.
Do you write something just like as an intention, or you just put like Shelby?
Yeah, I mean, both. I would write whatever. I mean, I was a child, so I wrote my name, or I draw hearts, you know, stuff like that. But that now that I'm an adult, you know, and really being more intentional, like that's what I would totally do is write, you know, when I have kids, that's totally what I'll do. I'll teach them that, you know, we're setting intentions for, you know, for this time of the year. But the egg, it represents fertility and rebirth. It can be used in spells, and it's super powerful. So writing intentions on the eggs, like I just said, you can also bury them in the earth for manifestation. Yeah. So that's,
I like that.
Yeah. That's another way you can do it. I know right now I'm very curious how Easter's going to go, since we're in this whole like egg shortage situation.
Oh, I know.
So, you know, there's other ways,
well, everything is like plastic.
Yeah, everything is plastic. Don't bury a plastic egg in the dirt, you guys. Don't do that.
I was looking the other day. I was like, man, I wish I had one of those little plastic eggs.
Yeah.
Just because I wanted to use that beauty blender, or what are they called?
Oh, yeah, the little blender, the sponge things.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, when you're traveling, it'd be nice to put it in a little egg, and it doesn't. You're not like wasting like a little bag all the time, and you can use it several times. So
that's a really great idea. Reusing all these plastic eggs. I love it. They're now beauty blender cases. I like it. That's when you just walk up to a hotel and you just have like a bag full of eggs as your toiletries.
They are different sizes
and colors.
Yes. Pick your spring color.
It's perfect. But yeah, so eggs, big deal. So you can also mix some of these together. So there's planting rituals. So many use the equinox as a time to plant seeds physically and spiritually. You can involve charging the seeds with intentions before planting them, or setting goals. So one thing that I've seen and that I've done before is taking half eggshells and using them to start seeds. So you put soil in them, write your intentions on the shell. Put soil
on the outside or on the inside of the shell?
I put it on the outside, and then you leave it in the egg carton, and then you put soil, and you start your little seedling in the egg. Yeah, in the shell, and then you put it in your greenhouse or whatever, and it starts to sprout.
Oh, I want to do that.
Yeah, super fun.
Have tons of eggshells.
There you go.
You can use eggshells to make toothpaste.
Yeah, you can use eggshells for a
And,
lot of stuff
We use it
too.
for compost too. Use it
Yeah,
for compost.
exactly. And
plants.
if you have eggshells too, like I mean, this doesn't have to be just during springtime either, but you can grind them up, and you can make like what is it, like calcium powder or whatever it is with it.
That's true.
But you can also, you don't have to grind them up into a fine powder, but you can use them in like spell jars. So that's something that I really love to do is I make a lot of spell jars for different intentions. And so this time of year I would use different spring herbs, you know, like I like using parsley is a really bright herb for me, and I really use parsley a lot. So I would usually do eggshells, parsley, and some kind of flower petal around this year, not rose.
Not rose.
Not rose. I would use something more like daisy or
for like
calendula.
spring, or would you use rose
spring.
for something else? Or?
I would. I mean, yeah, rose is like it's just really powerful. It's really heavy love, and like yes, like I want to, you know, love everything, love frequency for sure, but. My intention is rebirth, renewal, and I don't want my love to be renewed. I want the love that I have.
Yeah.
But you know, be intentional with what you're putting in there. But eggshells in your jar can be super, super powerful as a base.
Wow. Okay. Nice. Good
And
to know.
salt.
Yeah.
Eggshells, salt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Parsley for me, and some kind of flowers usually, and then crystal. Pick a crystal. I usually use I like using clear quartz just because it's a mega amplifier for anything that you're putting in there. But you can, you know, just pick what, you know, look at your properties and pick what you need right now. It's a really great time to do this. This is on the spring equinox, a great time to make your spell jar for that season.
Oh, we need to do a workshop on spell jars.
Yeah, for sure. We'll do one for sure. So go on Patreon, sign up for it, you guys. It's worth it. And so there's also, you know, balancing light and dark energy. That is the whole basis of this season, and which means shadow work can be super powerful right now. So if you're in the midst of the shit, it's a powerful moment for you to really start sifting through those dark emotions and see yourself, because you can't shed. You know, you can't get rid of stuff. You can't let go if you aren't willing to face it. You can't bypass your feelings. You have to face whatever it is. And that can be very freeing, right?
Absolutely.
And so when you think about renewal, regrowth, all of those, all these things, in order to do that, you kind of have to deal with it, right? So there's a lot of different things you can do about shadow work. That's a whole episode worth right there. But just, you know, different meditations, thinking about like releasing the stagnant energy of winter. Like that's kind of around this time you can start imagining, you know, your shadow self kind of floating down the river. Like there's lots of meditations you can do. I think I have one that will be posted on Patreon. So that's in our
library.
In our meditation library on our Patreon. There will be one in there if there's not already. So great meditation to do for that. There's also fire and water rituals. We'll probably do a fire or a water ritual on our during our workshop together, just because it's crazy powerful. Obviously, I'll be inside, so I'll probably still light stuff on fire. That's what I do. I have a huge like burn spot on my altar because I lit the freaking counter on fire. Be safe, everyone, while you're doing these things. Have a fire extinguisher nearby. But since the equinox is a time that, you know, of equal day and night, so start thinking about, you know, fire and water are balanced, right? Yeah. They're opposites. Candles, bonfires, they represent the return of warmth and light, while water, spring rain, sacred bath represents renewal and cleansing. So we'll set intentions and burn things we want to let go of, and then use the water to kind of like, set intention and renew for this time of year. And then of course we talked about spring cleaning, of course, clean your spaces, right? Dust.
Also, if you want more money, declutter.
Yeah, absolutely. Declutter. Absolutely. For sure. So lots of different rituals that you can do. The easiest one, pick wildflowers and bring them inside.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, it signifies that renewal, that rebirth, that growth, all those things. Welcoming the outside inside, right? We're honoring the sun.
Love.
Flowers can't bloom without the sun, right? yeah, it's a great way to just something super simple, just mindfully outside, get outside in nature, connect to the earth. Before you pick flowers, you always want to ask for permission.
Yep.
You know, like literally ask the plant
Yes.
for permission, feel it. And, you know, you'll know when you shouldn't touch one because it's probably poisonous. But yeah.
Yes.
So different things
Okay.
like that. So yeah, I want to hear
I
from
love
you
that.
guys too. If you have rituals that you love to do or something like that,
Wow.
or you tried any of this stuff and you want to let us know how it went, please reach out.
Love that.
But yeah, so that's my little bit on spiritual practices, and I just have a few more little topics here to talk about a little bit about the folklore, which we've touched on a lot around the rabbits, and then literally like what's happening to the cosmos during this time. So different folklore and stories. Let's just jump right into it. So during this time, we talked about this a little bit. The veil is said to be thinner between our world and the spirit world, right? And we usually only hear about this during like Halloween or Samhain, right? That the veil is thin, you're talking to dead people. No, it's yes, but also like it's like that at multiple times of the year. This isn't the only time where it's super potent. But during spring, this is the time where the veil is super thin, where you can connect deeper to elemental spirits, fairies, the fae, being mindful and you know, having discernment with the fae. Different nature deities and stuff like that. So go outside, connect. I like to do this activity where I go outside and I put on a blindfold and I just sit outside and let spirit come forward. And it is wild. Like, you know, when you get that feeling that there's like somebody behind you and you turn, there's somebody there, you're like, whatever. Try to do that with a blindfold on and welcoming the people forward. It can be intimidating for sure. And also the more you go to the same place outside, the more they're going to feel comfortable because they recognize your energy. So I always like, that's my advice, is to go to the same place outside over and over. It's where it's quiet and wear a blindfold, because it also takes the intimidation off from the spirit and they want to approach you because they think they're safe. And you will feel it. It is so amazing.
I love that.
I absolutely love that practice.
I do that as well, where for a while I was just meditating blindfolded, and in a certain time of the day, once you know my family's up and running, there's a little bit more in and out. It's still pretty quiet at my home, but I will be outside and just listen to the birds and the wind, and you know, the little lizards, and just trying not to get in my head of like, what is that? Is it a lizard? It's not. So funny, yesterday I was doing energy work session outside. My client, it's not in front of me, it's distant, and suddenly I can feel like the spirit coming in, and there's a bench really close to where I do, and I felt like just presence. It felt good, but suddenly I smelled the strongest coffee.
Interesting.
Strongest coffee. And it smelled like, I'm not like a coffee drinker, but it smelled like a delicious, strong coffee. And I had seen my husband, who was up, and I told him I'm in session outside. And he was making his coffee, but he was just heating up his water. And I was like, that's not him. But, you know, curious, I opened my eyes because I'm doing this with my eyes closed, and he wasn't there,
He was nowhere to be found. Yeah.
So calling in spirit, but I love that practice of just being present, and don't be afraid to call in spirit in. And call in the spirits of your highest good, of your highest purpose, and that serve love frequency, and they're here to support you, not take away from you.
Yeah, and like, how often would you experience something like that and just write it off like, oh, it was probably just a draft? Right? Like, acknowledge it.
Yeah. There was no way that was a draft with the coffee. I was like, no other house nearby, and it would not be from where it was to the inside of the house, which there was no door, like window open or anything, that the smell could have traveled
and that's
from
like
the kitchen.
far away to it. You like where you are out, there's nowhere near the kitchen. Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, but I love that practice. Thank you for sharing that, because I think it's such an easy, accessible practice for everyone.
Yeah,
can do, but people get intimidated about either getting your head of like, nothing is happening. Yeah, or that was just
Thanks for listening,
a rabbit,
and don't forget to follow us on social media at Witches Who Podcast.
I think it teaches us also to be in that stillness.
Yeah,
and just really let yourself be vulnerable, like almost energetically, spiritually.
Yeah, like definitely ground yourself and put up like, you know, your energy field, right? That you're only letting in like high vibrational beings that serve love, right? But yeah, I think that's it, is we also don't slow down enough to even acknowledge that these things could be supernatural, could be a spirit, or could be a sign. I had a client recently tell me that they were frustrated because a family member had passed away and they hadn't come back and shared, like left a sign for them, you know? And I'm like, well, they probably are. You're just not seeing it. You know, you're not open to it. And also grief shuts down our channels a lot. So, you know, like dealing with that and kind of building your capacity for grief will allow you to open up that channel a little bit more. But just start to notice those things, and being able to find stillness in the blindfold and being outside.
Thanks for
will
listening.
open up
and
that,
don't forget
that
to follow us
channel
on
for you,
social
for
media
sure.
at
It's a
Witchy
great way to
Podcast.
start your practice and hone your skills, if you know, and honestly just feels good to just be, you know.
Absolutely. I tell my family all the time, hey, when I die, yes, you know, I'm in a new plane. I'm probably gonna go check it out. Then I'll come back and, you know,
I'd be too scared. I'd have to get stuck on Earth again.
Oh gosh,
Man, you know.
yeah.
But no, I'm haunting everyone. Oh, for sure. I can't wait. It's like the only reason to have kids, so you can haunt them.
So you can hunt them after. How funny. Love it. What else do we got?
Okay, so we talked a little bit about the hare and the rabbit lore. But in many traditions, hares are considered magical creatures linked to fertility and shape-shifting witches.
Ooh, I like the shape-shifting witches.
So there's stories of witches who could transform into these hares. And that's where the Easter Bunny comes from. That the Easter Bunny is actually a shape-shifting witch.
Oh, could that just be Ostara?
This is totally just me making stuff up.
I'm all like Ostara shapeshifts into a bunny, and the bunny shapeshifts into a star.
Yeah.
Ostara.
Yeah, you know. And I thought that was super interesting because, you know, we always talk about how, why is there this giant bunny? Well, because it was a witch.
This giant bunny.
That's hiding eggs. That makes no sense.
5'9" bunny. Yeah. Not Johnny Darko. What was it?
Donnie
Darko.
Oh,
Not that bunny.
That'd be horrible. Oh my God. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, so the rabbit, you know, linking to fertility, but I thought that was super fascinating with the shape-shifting witches for sure. And then in Celtic tradition and pagan traditions, there's the green man and nature spirit. So
the green
man. Have you ever seen? I think I have a picture of him somewhere.
I've seen pictures of the green man.
Yeah, and he has, you know, like leaves framing his face,
almost like a beard.
Because totally.
Of the leaves. Oh yeah,
he's like the, you know, the spirit of nature's rebirth, spirit of nature. And he's often associated with all the spring festivals. But there's legends that say he appears in the forest as a protector of the renewal of the forest. So he's a protector of the forest, essentially. Super interesting. And I was trying to find, I found this story where somebody, I think it was like in Britain or somewhere, you know, in the UK, claimed they physically saw the green man and in a forest and they got freaked out and ran away. But I'm like, I couldn't find the story, but it was so good.
I was just thinking, I was like, ooh, does he know Sasquatch?
Yeah, I was like, are they all related somehow? All these like different creatures?
Or is it, you know, like what's the other name for the Sasquatch? The Bigfoot, you know, is his costume during the spring.
Oh yeah, he's just in a different outfit. I love that.
It's just like, I saw the green man. He's like,
that's really funny. I love that so much. But yeah, that is different, you know, folklore and stories around this time of year. But yeah, I love the green man. It's super interesting. I love connecting the elementals, and you just kind of think of it's kind of like fairy season. It's whimsical fairy tea party season, and I just love that so much. Sundresses are coming out. Big hats are about to take flight. Big
hats.
I'm really excited for it. I just love the breezy springtime air, you know. But the equinox occurs. So cosmic connections. The equinox occurs because the Earth's axis is neither tilted towards nor away from the sun, making the day and night equal. So if you think about like the Earth's axis, it's it's even, right? You're like kind of
12 hours and 12 hours.
Exactly. This shift impacts biological cycles, moods, and even folklore. Obviously, we just talked about that. Many people experience an energetic shift around this time, much like the spring awakening phenomenon, where people feel more motivated and active this time of year. And that this was said to be the new year before the Gregorian calendar was adopted. So, you talk about January being the new year.
Oh, no.
No, it's the middle of freaking winter. We're still in hibernation mode.
Yeah.
No.
I never feel like, Happy New Year. I was like,
No,
No,
it
not
never
at all.
felt right. Well, this is why.
Yeah.
Because spring equinox is technically the new year. In October, actually, is the Celtic New Year is in Samhain. That's when the year, turns over. But this was said to be the new year in most traditions because this is when you're, renew, open, and ready to,
and you actually feel
motivated.
renewed and open. Even through challenges, it's like, it feels like it's the spring. Like,
yeah. And
I'm
even
gonna work through
for
this.
animals, right? Their migratory patterns, everything changes around this time. Their behaviors, plant growth is changing, so they have to go where the food is. Like, yeah.
Sorry, for a second. I just heard Tucker snoring
He's,
so hard since earlier.
So out over there.
He
Just keeps following the sun's patch. It's really funny.
Yes, I love him.
But
Well, that was fantastic.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you so
hopefully
much.
we learned a lot, generated some curiosity around this time of year. And I just encourage everybody to just get outside, connect with nature and just be more mindful every day, always, but especially during these solstices and equinoxes, just being more mindful of what you're calling in and what you're projecting out as well. So
we invite you all to tonight to get a really good night's sleep. Go to bed early so tomorrow you can wake up with us. As we're gonna wake up, it's gonna be
with
our
the
thing.
sun, we got this.
With the sun, we got this, and maybe we'll do a little chat at that time. But this was so fun. I learned so much.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, Bigfoot is the green man.
I love it.
But yeah, thank you. I think anything else that we're missing?
I feel pretty accomplished right now. So
Fantastic. I love it. So make sure to follow us on all the things. And our Patreon is only $5 a month. And you get so much out of it. I do weekly Oracle card readings. I do personalized. So on our Patreon page, there's an exclusive, you get a link, a Zoom link, where you come and I pull a card just for you and interpret it for the energy of that week. Also, I do weekly energy updates and upgrades that you receive every Sunday. And it gives you a little bit more of an idea of like energetically, what is it that we're kind of channeling that week and how to prepare it and how to, best absorb what is from that week. But the workshops, I think that alone, plus all the other things we're doing with the meditation library, we have some sound frequencies as well as there. I think the workshops are totally worth it because if somebody goes to a workshop somewhere, more than likely it's going to be $30 or above.
Oh yeah.
Above
Minimum.
25. Yes. So you get all this included for all our workshops for only $5. So I'm so excited for the workshop tomorrow. It's going to be phenomenal.
Collab with some amazing people, right? Like you get to connect with like-minded individuals that are really trying to get the most out of, these experiences. It's just, obviously we think it's worth it, but come find for yourself.
Of course.
You can cancel anytime if you're like, screw these ladies. You know what I mean? You got nothing to lose.
Yes. So join the coven if you feel called to it. But if not, well, tune in, stay curious. And until next time, besitos. Bye.
Peace.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to follow us on social media at Witches Who Podcast.